second habit to quit in 2024 is sleeping late. I mean, chronically sleeping late, basically. Sleeping late a lot of times. So while I was in my Christmas break, listened to a few podcasts, and one of them was from the Diary of CEO. And she had a earthly scientist on the show, and they were talking about why you shouldn't be sleeping in and how it's dangerous. And the things that they were saying were kind of scary. Like they said that people who chronically sleep late, with like 10 hours, 10 from 10 p.m. and like they spend like more than 2 hours a week from 10 p.m. They were more prone to cancer, metabolic disease, cardiovascular disease, and plenty more diseases. And if like they said like you be most likely you most likely gonna die like 15 years earlier than you're supposed to type shit. So like sleeping late is something that is very unhealthy that most of teenagers have been doing nowadays and don't realize the consequences of it. So what I'm trying now to do is on school days I try to sleep at like 10:30. Like obviously I do my stretches before bed, so I plan it so I go to bed at 10:30, or like I start stretching at 10:30 depending on like what I did on that day, and then I will wake up at 6:30 in the morning, and then maybe on the weekends where I'm most likely gonna be hopping on the game with my friends for a little bit. That's the time I can maybe sleep at 11 at most, and then wake up at like 7:30 in the morning. But you trying to be consistent with it. You don't want to be sleeping at like 10 p.m. Not at 10 p.m. during your school days, waking up at 6:30, and then you go from that to wake to sleeping at like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. and the weekends and waking up at like 12 p.m. You know, you want to stay consistent with your sleep. That's one thing she also said on the podcast. The other thing is you should be trying to eat early. You want to most likely eat the majority of your calories between the hours of 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. Like you don't want to be eating 3 hours. No, you don't want to be eating past 3 hours before your bed. You trying to eat before you go to bed? No, it's very unhealthy. You can't be eating before you go to bed. Because if you eat before you go to bed, you're gonna be digesting the food you just ate, and you're not gonna be completely at rest, and you're gonna wake up feeling grumpy, not feeling well a lot the next day. And that's why nowadays, even though I'm from an African family where they basically eat late, I try to just cook my own meals and eat them at like 5:30 or 6 something. I still go to the table with my family, obviously, but the food they cook, I'm most likely not gonna eat it because I'm not trying to eat at 7:30 when I'm about to go to bed real soon, you know. And the other thing is, your sleep is directly correlated with how greatly you can deal with stress the next day, physically or mentally. Physically is most likely, let's say you're an athlete, you have a soccer game or practice, and you're sleeping late. It's not gonna benefit you. If you sleep late, you're not gonna perform well in your game or practice. And mentally is most likely for students, people that have work and stuff like that. If you sleep very late and you just study for like 2 hours, 3 hours, that information you study, you're most likely not gonna remember it, because you need time to rest, so your brain can make the connection between what you learn, you know, so you can remember it for your tests, exams, and stuff like that. So in 2024, it's very important to avoid sleeping late.